Hi, Charlotte. I'm Jade. Pronouns are she, her. And I would love to help with your question. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what I'm writing on my tablet. One second. Okay. So, I have already taken the liberty of putting the first little bit up. So if you look on your side, you should see a thing that says full video. If you click that, you can see my screen. So the first thing we want to do is find the equivalent resistance, right? Now this circuit here can look confusing. So what we want to do is rearrange this in a way that's a little bit easier to figure out exactly what's going on. Now my favorite way to do that is to put it into a long line. So let's split up our voltage into a positive end at 28 volts, and then we're going to do a long line, and we'll end up with the negative at 0 volts. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. If you look at where I'm going, right, and we're going to put our finger here at the start, and we're going to trace it all the way along and see what's the first thing we hit. First thing we hit is 5 ohms. So we're going to put a 5 ohm resistor here, right? Next thing we hit is a junction, right? So we're going to put a split, right? So now we pick one way. Okay, let's go this way. Oop, we hit a 1.4. So 1.4, right? And then we hit, oops, another junction. Okay, so another junction means 2 more branches, right? So I'm using this highlighter to keep track of what's going on. Okay, let's take the upper branch. Well, now we see we hit 1.4, and then the 4, and then another 1.4, right? 1.4, 4, 1.4. So let's backtrack, because we hit a junction here, but now we're on the other side. Now we're on the side where we're kind of rejoining. So let's see where some of these things broke off. Well, if we wanted to take the other route, right, if we wanted to take this route, well, that was going off of this junction, right? So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come in here, put the 10, and join them back together again, because they're meeting up right here. It's 10 ohms right there. Okay, now let's continue along as we were from this junction point, from this last junction point that we looked at right here, right? We continue along. Remember, that point is this point. And the first thing we do is we hit not another junction point, but the 2 ohm resistor. So before we do anything, we're going to put the 2 ohm resistor in, right? Then the next thing we hit is another junction. Well, this junction is the one that connects us back to right after the 5 ohm, right? So that's what that other branch was. That other branch we didn't touch that whole time, right? And so that whole branch is just going to be a single 10 ohm resistor, right? Now we're back to the junction, and we have to go through the 4 before we get back to the battery. So we go, we do our 4, and then battery, right? So now hopefully this is a little bit easier to solve. So if you see here, now we can kind of see, okay, what do we have to do? Well, we have to do the series here first, and then the parallel, and then the series, and then the parallel, and then the series, right? And it'll become like that. It'll be a bunch of sort of alternating series and parallels. Now you can double check to see if it looks correct by looking at the battery and picking one path, right? Take your finger and trace one single path that an electron might choose to go through. Maybe it goes here and then it takes a right and then it goes back to the battery like that, right? That path is going to be through the 5, the 10, and the 4. Well, we have that option here, right? But if you want to take another path, right? If you want to take, say, the outermost path, you can do that, but you're not going to go through that 10 ohm resistor, right? Instead, you're going to go through this path. So we can recreate any path we want. So sometimes it's good to do just a little spot check just to make sure that the paths look correct. Okay, so I'm going to do the next part kind of quick just so we can get to an answer. But basically, what we want to do is we want to do a series of increasingly simplified circuits. I'll draw them out. You don't have to. 1.4 turns into the thing, the 10 ohm resistor. And so those 3 resistors all turn into a single one, right? So 4 plus, so 1.4 times 2 is 2.8, plus 4 is 6.8. Okay. And then 2 ohm, and then 4 ohm, negative 5. This one's 10 as well. Okay, now I got to do the 6.8 and the 10 in parallel, right? So that's going to be 1 over 10 plus 1 over 6.8 to the negative 1. And so we can just go ahead and throw that in a calculator. If you want, you can do it with fractions, but it's a little easier to just toss it in your calculator, right? Okay, and I'm getting 4.05, right? So that means that we have the 5 ohms, now 1.4, 4.05, 2, right? So we've gotten rid of the first parallel circuit. So just what you can see is we're just stepping down piece by piece, right? 1.4 plus 4.05 plus 2, because that's a single simple series circuit. There's a lot of S's. So we get 5, and then we'll get those 3 added together. Let's see, 57.45. And 10, 4, there we go. All right, we got to do the same thing again, right? 1 over 7.45 plus 1 over 10, all under 1. Right? Okay, so 7.45, whoops, 7.45 reciprocal plus 0.1 equals something, and then take the reciprocal. And so I'm getting 4.27. 4.27 for nothing. Alrighty. And then we just add those last ones together. So it's going to be 9 plus the 4.27. So that gives me a single resistor of 13.27 ohms. And that is our equivalent resistance, right? 13.27 ohms, right? And then I through the 5 ohm resistor is pretty straightforward, because I through the 5 ohm resistor, right? The 5 ohm resistor is in series with the battery. That's what makes this easy, right? and what makes us not have to kind of like walk back through all these simplified circuits that we did. It's like that because every single electron, no matter which path you want to take, that path, or if you want to take that path, or if you want to take that path, no matter what path you want to take, you have to pass through the 5 ohm resistor and the 4 ohm resistor, right? Those two are what we say in series with the battery. And so what that means is, well, two things in series, the voltage drop adds up over multiple elements in series, but the current is the same, right? So the I for the 5 ohm resistor is going to be the same as the I through the battery, right? And the I through the battery, we're just going to use V equals IR for the entire circuit, right? So the I through the voltage source, through our battery, is going to be 28 volts over 13.27 ohms, right? Our equivalent resistance. Because what did we do? We took the entire thing and shrunk it down into a single resistor, right? This is for basically a tiny little circuit that looks like this. That's our equivalent circuit. If you get a little more advanced, you'll learn about things called the Thevenin circuit and the Norton equivalent circuit. That's what these are. This would be our Thevenin equivalent circuit. Would be the one for that. So let's see. 28 divided by 13.27 gives me 2.11 amps. 2.11 amps. And that's how you do it. Okay. So I hope that helped. If you have any further questions, you can see my website's right on here, or just go to my Wyzant page. It'll just redirect you to my Wyzant page. And I would love to work with you and help you out. Until then, stay well, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.